Everyone at Crescent Fang Academy was buzzing like someone had dropped a live sparkstone in the hallway. The reason? Aiden Greystone, the returning alpha tall, commanding, every girl's crush and every guy's example of what a perfect wolf should be. But he wasn't the reason my heart sped up whenever I turned a corner. That was his younger brother, Rowan Grandstone. My Rowan, or the boy I thought was mine. Rowan had saved me when we were 9 years old, pulling me out of a frozen creek while everyone else had panicked. I had carried that moment like a secret flame, the day a gratitude looked back at me and didn't see a nobody. Now years later, I stood in the academy courtyard clutching my books while the other girls giggled and whispered. Rowan smiled at me from across the fountain, soft, private, the smile he only gave me. My heart lifted. Today was supposed to be special. Today, he had promised he would finally claim me as his partner. But then Ava tilted her perfect head at me, snatching the small Polaroid I'd taken of Rowan. If Rowan was really your partner, Ava sneered, he would have claimed you already. Oh, that's right. He can't. Claiming a girl without a wolf would ruin his beta title. Her friends erupted in laughter. No wolf, no wolf, no wolf, no wolf. The chant echoed in my bones like a familiar nightmare. I forced myself to breathe. Rowan would defend me. He always did. He always give it back. I reached for the photo. Ava danced backward. Is the little wolfless girl mad? My chest tightened. I hated when the whispers got too close, when their eyes turned sharp, when the truth I tried so hard to hide became the dagger they loved to twist. But still, he would help me. He had to. Rowan, please, I whispered. But Rowan hesitated. His eyes slid away, and the moment he didn't move toward me, something deep and cold cracked wide open. I smelled fear before I saw her. Not the sharp, wild fear of hunted prey, but the trembling, choked-back fear of someone who had endured too much, too long. When I stepped around the courtyard pillar, I saw her, the girl from all those years ago, the girl I had pulled out of the forest shadows during my 10th birthday, the girl who had looked at me like I was light when she was drowning. Elara Woods, and she was surrounded. Again, I didn't think, I moved. My voice thundered across the courtyard. Who put their hands on her? Ava's smug smirk flickered. Oh, she cooed. Alpha Aiden. We were just playing with. She is Elara Woods, I cut in. Show some respect. Silence snapped over the courtyard like a stone dropping into water. Rowan stiffened. For a heartbeat, guilt crossed his face. But he said nothing. Coward. I stepped closer, placing myself between Elara and everyone else. Up close, I finally saw the bruise forming on her wrist. My chest tightened. Are you hurt? I asked quietly. I'm fine, she whispered, though her voice trembled. Please, just leave me alone. But I didn't move. Couldn't. Not when the image of her trembling in that hallway felt too close to another night long ago, when she had cried alone, and I had been too young, too unsure to stay. Back then, I had watched her disappear into the crowd. Not again. I shouldn't have looked up. I shouldn't have met his eyes. But I did. Aiden Greystone's gaze was intense, blue like a winter's dawn, filled with a weight I didn't understand. Why did he care? Why now? Why act like he knew me when we had barely spoken? And why? Why was his scent familiar? Warm pine, crushed silverleaf, safety. No. It had to be my imagination. Before I could step away, Rowan appeared, tugging his jacket from my shoulders. What are you doing with my jacket? He demanded. Seriously, Elara? I blinked. You gave it to me last night. He scoffed loudly enough for everyone to hear. Because I felt bad. Don't make it weird. The courtyard erupted with snickers. My cheeks burned. Aiden's jaw flexed like he was restraining something violent. Rowan leaned in close enough that only I could hear. Tonight, the moonlit ridge. I'll finally claim you. Just don't make a scene. For a moment, hope flickered. But it wouldn't last. Not with the way the wind felt colder, not with the way Aiden stared at Rowan, disbelief twisting into anger, not with the way my heart whispered something terrifying. Aiden didn't look at me like I was a nobody. He looked at me like I mattered, and that was far, far more dangerous. Rowan was lying. Even before he spoke, I could smell deceit on him. Bitter, sharp, laced with bravado. He wasn't going to claim her. Not tonight, not ever. But Elara didn't know that, and when I watched her force a smile at him, something in me stepped toward the edge of a cliff I had avoided for years. She wasn't his, she never had been. And the moon helped me. I wasn't sure I could stand by and watch him break her. Night made everything worse. The ridge behind the academy was lit only by the pale bloom of the full moon. Silver, cold, almost accusing. I stood there shivering, not from the wind, but from fear. Tonight is important for both of us, Rowan had said. Tonight, I'll finally claim you. Those words had lived inside me for years. They had been hope, purpose, a promise that I wasn't destined to be alone forever. But when I reached the ridge, Rowan wasn't alone. Ava stood beside him. Her fingers were curled into the collar of his shirt. My breath froze. "Rowan," I whispered. "Rowan," I whispered. He looked at me like I'd walked in on something embarrassing. "Elara? Oh, you came." "Came?" He invited me. Ava's smirk sharpened. "Rowan was just explaining that you misunderstood his intentions." My throat tightened. "What intentions?" He sighed, rubbing his chin. "Honestly, Elara, did you really think someone like me would give up my beta title for a girl without a wolf?" Ava laughed softly against his arm. I felt the world tilt. "You said you loved me," I whispered. "Yeah," he shrugged. "That was a bet. The guys wanted to see how long you'd believe it." My knees wobbled. A bet. I was a bet. My whole world was a punchline. Ava stepped forward. "You're pathetic, Elara. Imagine thinking Rowan would claim someone who can't even shift. You can't lead, can't defend, can't even heal properly. You're a glitch." Rowan looked away. He didn't stop her. He didn't say one word. Something inside me cracked, cleanly, like a bone giving up under pressure. "I, Rowan Greystone," he said suddenly, his voice echoing across the ridge, "reject Elara Woods as my partner." The rejection hit like a blinding snap of light behind my eyes. A tearing, a suffocating pressure that stole my breath, but I forced myself to speak. "I accept your rejection." The moment our bond snapped, pain rolled through my chest like a tidal wave, but the rest was numbness, cold, hollow, endless numbness. Ava smirked at Rowan. "It's done. Let's go." She linked her arm through his and pulled him away. And I stood alone on the moonlit ridge, shaking, broken, abandoned. Was this really all I was worth? Her scream hit me before I reached the ridge. Not fear, not pain, something worse. The raw, devastated sound of someone whose heart had been shattered in front of the two people who should have protected her. I ran. Branches slapped my arms. Stones scraped my palms when I slipped on a slope. None of it mattered. When I saw her collapsed on the ground, fists pressed to her chest, my heart stopped. "Elara," I breathed. Her head snapped up. "Aiden, what are you doing here?" I felt your pain. My voice was low, almost dangerous. "Where is Rowan?" She shook her head, tears streaking down her cheeks. "Please just go. You shouldn't be here." He rejected me. I clenched my fists. He would regret that. He would regret making her speak those words. "Elara," I said quietly, kneeling in front of her. "Look at me." She didn't, so I gently cupped her chin. "You are not worthless." She flinched. "You don't understand. The pack will never accept someone like me. A wolfless girl, claimed by an alpha. I'd ruin everything you've worked for." "You could never ruin anything for me," I whispered. Lightning shot through my chest when our eyes met. Something awakening, something ancient, something I had buried for years. Come with me, I said. She blinked. Where? Away from here. Away from the people who hurt you. But before she could answer, voices approached. Cruel voices, unfamiliar laughter. Ava, Rowan, their friends. Elara. Ava's voice dripped with mock pity. Are you still crying? Someone should put her away before she embarrasses herself again. Aiden rose to his full height. The temperature dropped. His voice turned lethal. If you lay a single finger on her again, I will personally escort each of you from this academy. Ava paled. Rowan froze. Aiden stepped forward, eyes glowing faintly silver. Touch her again, he growled, and you'll learn what an alpha's wrath feels like. Nobody spoke. Nobody breathed. They scattered within seconds, and Elara stared at him, stunned. Aiden offered me his hand. Not as a commander, not as an alpha, but as someone who had seen me broken and still wanted to carry the pieces. Aiden, why are you doing this? I whispered. He hesitated, just for a moment. Then he said the words that changed everything. Because I care about you, Elara Woods, more than you know. My breath caught, and before I could speak, my knees weakened. Aiden caught me, lifting me into his arms like I weighed nothing. Let me take you somewhere safe, he murmured. Where? My room. My heart hammered wildly. But I didn't pull away. For the first time all night, I wasn't cold. She was light, too light. As I carried her through the academy's back hallways, she curled closer without realizing it, as if her body trusted me even when her mind didn't. I laid her gently on my bed and pulled a blanket over her. Elara, I whispered, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. I should have protected you earlier. Her eyes fluttered open. Why? We barely know each other. I exhaled slowly. That's not true. She frowned softly, confusion knitting her brows. You don't remember, I said quietly, but I saved you once before. Her breath hitched. When? I hesitated. The night you were lost in the forest at 10 years old. Her eyes widened. I thought that was Rowan. Everyone told me it wasn't him. She stared at me like I'd rewritten her entire life. But why? Why didn't you ever say anything? A small, sad smile tugged at my lips. Because you always looked at him, and I didn't want to confuse you. Her eyes softened. My heartbeat quickened dangerously. I should go, I said, stepping back. You need rest. But her fingers curled around my sleeve. Aiden, don't go. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. Elara, I whispered, if I stay, I won't be able to pretend I don't feel anything. She swallowed, then don't pretend. And for one heartbeat, the world stilled. Her scent drifted toward me, soft, faint, but stirring something ancient within my chest, something that had waited years to wake, something I no longer knew how to stop. Morning sunlight hit my eyes like a question I wasn't ready to answer. I sat up too fast. Aiden's room, Aiden's bed, Aiden's blanket wrapped around my shoulders. My heart tripped over itself. What had I done? What had I risked? And where was he? Before panic rose, the door clicked open. Aiden stepped in with 2 mugs of steaming cocoa. His hair was messy, like he'd run his hands through it 100 times. His eyes softened the instant he saw me awake. You're safe, he said gently. You always will be. The warmth in his voice made my throat tighten. Aiden, people will talk. Rowan will. Rowan has already knocked on this door, he admitted, setting the mugs down. He demanded to know if I was hiding someone. My stomach plummeted. And you said? I said yes. I gasped. Aiden, do you know what kind of rumors? He stepped closer. I don't care about rumors. I care about you. My breath hitched, but before I could say another word, a sharp knock exploded against the door. Aiden's jaw tightened. Stay here. And he stepped out. Rowan was waiting in the hallway, arms crossed, eyes flashing with a mixture of guilt, jealousy, and wounded pride. "You're hiding her," he accused. "Yes." He blinked, taken aback by my bluntness. "Aiden, she's nobody. A wolfless girl. I only pretended to." "Don't finish that sentence." Rowan flinched. I had never raised my voice to him before, but I wasn't going to let him twist the truth again. "You humiliated her," I said quietly. "You mocked her, locked her away, rejected her in front of the entire school." "She's weak," Rowan snapped. "She'll ruin everything you've built." "The alpha title. I don't care about titles." Rowan stared at me, stunned, as if I had spoken another language. "Brother," he whispered, suddenly smaller, "tell me you're not serious." "That girl, she isn't worth it." My eyes burned silver. "You're wrong," I said. "Elara is worth everything." He went pale, and for the first time, Rowan had no words. Aiden returned a minute later, shutting the door behind him. "What did he say?" I whispered. "That doesn't matter," but his tense shoulders told me he'd said plenty. "Aiden, you can't protect me from everything. The pack expects you to find a powerful soulmate, someone who can shift, who has influence and status." He stepped toward me slowly, like approaching a frightened creature. "Elara Woods," he murmured, "stop deciding you're unworthy before anyone else gets the chance to love you." My breath trembled. "But I don't have a wolf." His answer was soft, certain. "Then we'll find her." I blinked. "You think my wolf exists?" "I know she does, and when she wakes." His voice lowered. "The pack will understand exactly who you were meant to become." I swallowed hard. "Aiden, you can't promise that." "I already have." And then he smiled, not the alpha smile that made everyone else tremble. A smaller, human one. A smile meant only for me. I walked her to class later that morning, ignoring every stare, every whisper, every shocked face that darted between us. Rowan skulked behind Ava, who glared daggers the moment we entered the main hall. "Elara," Ava sneered sweetly. "Did you enjoy your night? You look tired, probably from all the crying." I moved before Elara could shrink back. "Say her name again," I said softly, "and you'll be escorted out of this academy." Ava froze. The entire hall went silent. Elara tugged gently at my sleeve. "Aiden, it's okay." "No," I said, "it isn't." I turned back to the crowd. "She is under my protection. Anyone who harms her answers to me." Rowan looked away, shame burning across his face. Ava opened her mouth. "But Liam." "No, not Liam." Aide simply stared her down until she backed away, red-faced and furious. Every student in that hallway had just realized something. The alpha wasn't defending a stranger. He was defending someone who mattered to him.